الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولكل وجهة هو موليها فاستبقوا الخيرات أينما تكونوا يأتي بكم الله جميعا إن الله على كل شيء قدير وقال المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم كلكم راء وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نسأل الله أن يجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. My respected elders, brothers and sisters, we read in Surah Al-Baqarah, Quran chapter 2, ayah 148. a translation more or less, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to each person, to each community, there's a direction. And so we should hasten to that which is good. Wherever we are, when we do this, wherever we are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings us together. And Allah has the power over everything. The Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, each and every one of you is a shepherd. And each and every one of you will be held accountable for that which he has been entrusted. It is from these two sources that I would like us to look at our way of thinking. Our way of operation, our mindset. Something I call the back home syndrome. We get caught up not knowing whether this is home or we have another home. Now, if you go to a hotel and you happen to stay a day or two, and you can see that the wall is cracked, you don't worry about it. Why? Because you live in the next day. So why fix it? It's not a problem. Something happened that actually forced me to give this particular khutbah. Now we're going to talk about it, what happened, the source, and how we as a community, as parents, contributed to this problem, and inshallah how to solve it. If not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to hold us responsible. And alhamdulillah, if we do it, whether we are alive or not, is going to bear fruits. Now, if you go to a place and the place looks messy and you stay for a day or two, you don't normally worry about it. But if you see your own apartment looking at the walls, and if you see the walls cracking, you know you must do something about it, because that is your home. That is where you live. And then you're going to be there for a long time. And if you leave the walls cracked, that is going to have direct negative impact on your life. Most of us, with all due respect, have this mindset of going back home. That's why I call it back home syndrome. But empirical evidence is showing. You don't need any statistics. You just look at us. 90% of us will die here. 10% will leave, and about 7% will come back and die here. Some of us have retired. By retired, I mean like they've actually worked and retired, and yet they're still here. And yet we're saying that we're going back home. Which home? Which home? Some of us, ironically, where we call home was actually not home. Our parents came there. They're not from there. They're not originally from there. They came there and will be going back home and never went. And you born there now call their home. But your dad, that's not his home. And now you're here. You have children here, and you still saying that I'm going back home. Good luck. You going back home? They are not. They're staying right here. This is their home. So what are we doing to ensure that we put the mechanism in place for them to operate successfully right here? What are we doing? I've given this same khutbah. I don't know whether in this masjid or another masjid. But something happened only 2 days ago. One of the most scariest things I've ever seen in my entire life. A sheikh called me. We need you, and we need you right now, whatever you're doing. And he said, Sheikh, I respect. I learn Quran from him, even as I speak. This is a sheikh that, by silsila, based on, like, he learned from his teacher, and his teacher learned from his teacher, all the way to the Prophet. Guess what? Not more than 20 people, like 20 or 21 people, between him and the Prophet ﷺ, based on what the sequence of learning. That's short. I respect him a lot. And he said, this is beyond me. We want you right here. A teenager. One of our own, our children, is declaring to be an atheist. Saying that there's no point of believing in Allah. There's no scientific basis for it. There's no sign. There's no reason. It doesn't make sense. We haven't seen God. Now, if someone is making these claims, you quote Quran or Bible is inapplicable on him because the source, he has already rejected the source, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I went. And, what makes Islam a practical religion is you have different approach to different problems based on your location. In some places, you don't even have to sit with the person down. You teach the person Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists with your hands. Just as one scholar, someone said, I haven't seen God, so I'm not believing in him. And the scholar slapped him. Like I don't know, you know this term, like dirty slap. Like, the army slap? The army don't slap you, they slap you with one of your eyes, so you don't even really see. You can only see stars. He took the sheikh to court. And this is the child. And so they asked the sheikh, did he do it? He said, yeah. He said, why did he do it? He said, why is he screaming? What is wrong about it? He said, because I'm still feeling the pain. Sheikh said, no, you don't feel pain because I don't see the pain. He said, you have to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to believe. Show me the pain for me to believe you are feeling the pain. You don't. If you do, show me. What is the pain? That is for one particular place. You can apply it here. Here they won't even take you to court. You'll be jailed. Abused. So I sat the person down. One of our children. So I asked, what do you believe in? And the answer was science. I said, okay, let's talk science. Let's speak science. Put me outside. Don't see me as your dad, your brother, a sheikh. No, I'm not. You believe in science? I'm here to talk to you as a scientist. Let's talk science. What do you believe in? What makes you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't exist? We can't see him. And we travel, and it's true, we travel all the way to the moon. We haven't seen God. Right or wrong? We haven't seen God. So he doesn't exist. Please, I ask you. We don't want to, let's use New York City. not in New York State, just New York City. We have 5 boroughs, right? I know that because for almost 10 years I was a taxi driver, so I know this for sure. You know, they taught us this in Queens. If you want to drive yellow cab, you know, the college, 2 weeks college in Queens. We have 5 boroughs. I just want to be a little bit biased. Let me start with home. We have the Bronx. And then I want the sheikhs to feel good. We have Manhattan, mashallah. We have Staten Island, we have Queens, and we have Brooklyn. Now, if you move from the Bronx and you come to Manhattan, and then just by looking at Manhattan, and you can't find anybody. Can you conclude that because you are not seeing anybody here, so by extension there's nobody in Staten Island, Brooklyn, and Queens? You can't say that. So because we know of one planet, Moon, and we haven't seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Moon, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't exist. That itself is unscientific. With stars, with planets, you have 1 quadrillion. According to some scientists, you have 1 quadrillion planets. The farthest galaxy, according to some reports, is 1 billion light years away. Which means if you were to manufacture an aircraft that travels at a speed of 186,000 miles per second, it will take 1 billion years for that aircraft to get there. Now, if you can have a planet this far, and you know, there's no way you can get there, you know that. How on earth scientifically could you say that there's nobody there because you can't see what is there? Not seeing something is not a proof that it doesn't exist. Then in that case, nobody can say that I love you. That word will have been very deceptive. You know why? Because nobody can see love. Nobody can touch love. So if I say that by saying that I love you, no, you're lying, not love. What is the love? I can see it. I can touch it. It doesn't make sense. And so I took the person back to where it all started. They said, you have all these non-living things, and you know, because of wind and blowing and tornado and whatever, and then you have over a million years, sometimes say billion years, it went through, and then they came together and then they form, you know, a bacterium, and then that's how life started. But that itself goes against the rule of science. That goes against the rule, the second rule of thermodynamics. The way you see things that are orderly prepared, things running smoothly in order. You can't have order from disorder. You can't. And so with that bacterium, if you look at the amino acids and the way they actually sequence themselves, or the way they are sequenced for them to perform a particular function. When scientists, mashallah, did all the calculation, they said probability, if you have to apply probability on one peptide, that is 10 to the power 20. Do you charge fee in this month? You have to start. Some masjids, if phone rings, it's $10. So nobody's phone ring. Nobody makes that mistake. $10 could solve this problem. Maybe you start with this brother. Now, if you look at this, just look at the number. It simply means it's impossible. And bacterium is what? One of the basic, like the commonest, if you like, of living things. So simple, just one celled organism. And if one cannot come about by chance, and bacterium has at least 2,000 of what is impossible in just one cell, and human beings have more or less about between 60 to 100 trillion cells. How could that be possible? So I asked the young person, you have soda in your hands, right? Imagine someone at that age, something that has never crossed your mind. And this is your own son now saying this. I said, could you imagine this bottle by itself thinking that, if I shape myself in this way, it will be good. And then, you have water, you have all this color that mixed and sugar things. It's nice if I get in. And then they jump into the bottle, and the cap said, I think I can turn myself into a cap. And then, mashallah, the cap all of a sudden, made itself maybe after 100 million years, and then just jump on it, and then closed, and then look at, mashallah, look at the nice label. And then the label thought of designing itself, and then coming around, and then you have a soda. I said, could you imagine that ever happening? The person said no. I said, but that's a soda. That's common soda. What about a human being? A complete human being. And that's why Professor Hoyle said, if you take scraps, metal scraps, and subject them to tornado, even after 1 billion years, you don't expect the tornado to actually arrange them and turn them into an aeroplane. You don't expect tornado to go through metal scrap and arrange them and turn them into what? An aeroplane. And guess what? If you gather all people, all these engineers that, mashallah, every day they experts in manufacturing aeroplanes. If you gather all of them in the world and tell them to create one cell, they can't. One cell. And now we're talking of 100 trillion. When I asked the boy, could this be possible? One of the person, could this be possible? Said, it doesn't make sense. So what about human being? Alhamdulillah, we were able to convince the person that now as we speak, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond the philosophical or the spiritual realm. It's actually scientific. It has now been scientifically proven that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Everything is well designed. And so there must be a designer. Call him any name. Call him any name. It doesn't have to be Arabic Allah. Or it doesn't have to be in English God. Or it doesn't have to be if you call him Mau. It doesn't have to be in this language or in that language. Give him any name. But he's still there. We know next to nothing. The world, this earth, which by the way came from the word earth, Arabic word earth, that's where we get earth from. This earth, planet earth, is one of the smallest planets in the entire universe. So how could you scientifically prove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't exist? How could you do that? If you look at everything, now you're looking at this brother, mashallah, this handsome brother, of mashallah, all what your eyes are doing, just taking the image and sending it at the back of your brain, the optic nerves take over and then, interpret to show that this person, this color is white, and this is why this is my wife, this is my brother. Even if you turn and come back again, it's the same process. But it's at supersonic speed. The moment you see a person that you recognize the person. Those that you don't normally see, you kind of like, oh my God, your face look familiar. Your brain at that time is searching the file where you know the brother. The moment it clicks, oh my God, I knew you, like last year, 2 years ago in college. That is how the brain works. Scientists were shocked when they look at the part of the brain that actually sees. The part of the brain that sees, you look at it, all what you see, you have tissues. And there is nothing in those tissues that have the power to see. And so the question that begs for an answer, the question that came looking directly on their faces, so to speak, who or what sees through the brain? I don't know if you get me. The brain itself, the part of the brain that sees, doesn't have the power to see. So who or what sees through the brain? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bada a'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. Yas'alunaka 'anil ruh. Qul ar-ruhu min amri rabbi. Wa ma utitu min al-ilmi illa qalila. They're asking you about the soul. So this is what? A mysterious affair that lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For knowledge we have been given little. Wallahi, we're still discovering. We're still discovering. It was only recently for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us that He still exists and that we know next to nothing. Confirming this very ayah. All these scientific discovery, our claims, everything, we rely mostly on our eyes, what we see. Little did we know that in the same eyes, you have a layer that has actually eluded scientists until recently. It was one doctor, Dua, D-U-A. You can check it out. He actually discovered that layer. And so now it is called what? Dua's layer. And one scientist recalled that it means all the books on ophthalmology, we have to rewrite them again because we got it wrong. The same eyes that we depend on to say that we haven't seen God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has just shown us that we don't even know the eyes very well. And so we should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the name of Al-Islam. But now let's come to the real issue. How did we get to this point? Where our children we've left our children on their own to the extent that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who they listen to, what they're doing, who are their friends to come to this conclusion. And how come we didn't see the telltale sign? Why not? Because this is not something that pops up overnight. If you spend time with our children, if we have plans for them, if we have focus, this is what we want to achieve, this is our goal. From the same ayah, وَلِكُلِّ وُجْهَةٌ هُوَ مُوَلِّيهَا فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. If we have a goal, as an individual, as a community, at least we will be able to see some sign. Even your body talks to you, right or wrong. If you have swollen feet, for instance, and if you dip in your hands and take it off, and then it's taking time to actually fill it up, which means your body is telling that you have heart problem. You have to check it out. If the color of your feet start getting, it's changing color, it's becoming dark, which means it's not getting enough oxygen, it's not getting enough nutrients, something wrong with your heart. If you as a man in the night you can't perform, it's telling you that there's something wrong with your heart. If you bleed, anytime that you brush, you bleed, either you have heart problem or you are deficient in magnesium, in vitamin C. If you are always tired, it could be related to your liver. If you see all these swollen feet, it could either be heart problem or your kidney problem. Even the body speaks to us. And so you can see the telltale sign. If you are a person who almost always, you are tired, you just want to eat, and right after eating, you feel hungry again, and the moment you drink water, you run into the bathroom and the color of the water, the color of the urine is just like the water, your body is telling you that diabetes is on its way. Even your body speaks to you. And so there are telltale signs. How could our children get to this point where they're drilling from Al-Islam and we're not even seeing it? Which means we just don't have time for them. Why? Because we want to gather everything because we're going back home. Who told you you'll be going back home? And what is your definition of home to begin with? You live here. You've been here for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You have your wife here. You have your children here. And you don't still see it as home? So where is home? The Prophet ﷺ was born in Makkah, right or wrong? But yet towards the end of his life, when he will go to Makkah, he will pray Qasr. Why? Because that's no more home. That wasn't no more home. Medina was his home now. Why? He lived in Medina. You live here, so this is home. And so according to even some scholars, if you have to travel maybe 2-3 weeks to go see your mom, your dad, your friends, you have the right to pray Qasr because that's no more your home. It's only when we accept this is home and we have that mindset, wallahi, then we start to think how to make this place home and have our children. To them, rightly, this is their home. They ain't going nowhere. So that we start planning for our children. It's no more about us. You have already been knocked out. Technical knockout. Wallah, we are. The moment you hit 40, it's no more about you. You know, sometimes we try to feel good, especially when a person is trying to get a second wife, you say, you know what, life begins at 40. It's no more about you. حتى إذا بلغ أشده وبلغ 40 سنة. That's the epic of life. And so what are we doing to protect our children? Wallahi, it's very, very scary. Sometimes, like one boy was caught saying that I only come to masjid to hang out. Like on the weekend classes, I only come to hang out. Which means we didn't have time to actually explain to them what Islam is all about. هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان? Is there a reward for good other than good? America has given you. What are you giving back? You're producing criminals? Irresponsible citizens? Is that what you're giving back as a Muslim? One Muslim living by Islamic precept is enough to actually change the entire community. I was in one masjid. They're praying, and right outside, just their neighbor, opposite, the music was blasting. And after that, one of them got angry. Said, we should do kunut on these people, man. I said, what kunut? Why kunut? I said, this is an evidence that you don't have good relationship with them. They don't even know what you're doing here. There's no community outreach. So what kunut are you talking about? Which means they don't know what you're doing. If you have been living with them in good terms, you reach to them, you call them inside the masjid. Because today our masjids are so holy, we don't even want a non-Muslim to step in. The Prophet ﷺ used to invite non-Muslim in his masjid. When was the last time you called non-Muslim to actually invite them, give them food and tell them about Islam?
So you see all of our masjids, you see our non-Muslim neighbors, wallah, will be living there for 5, 10, 20 years. They have every right to be suspicious of us. And we don't have the right to blame them. You know why? All they could see, people just entering inside and coming out. They don't know what we're doing. And sometimes, like this, mashallah, our uncle, is nice, this African cup. They don't even know what is hidden inside. Whether you have some bomb or something. They just see us going inside and coming out. When are we going to reach out and let them understand what Islam is all about? When are we going to sit our children and let them know what Islam is all about? When are we going to come together as a community and ensure that we protect our children? If not, the second part, the hadith kicks in. كلكم راء وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Wallahi, our children are aman, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to hold us responsible. Wallahi, for how we, if you do your best and they still drain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your witness. But what are we doing? As an individual, what are we doing? As a community, what are we doing? Because it takes a village to raise a kid. I can raise my kid alone, you can raise your kid alone. We have to operate as a community. We have to let them understand that America is their home, and they must, as Muslims, underline the word must, they must contribute to America positively. That is what I call practical dawah. Then they don't need to talk much. People just looking at them and how much they contribute to the community and their society, the state. They don't need someone to tell them Islam is the right religion. The action always speaks louder than words. But if you talk, and yet if you look at us, we behave terribly. We are unfriendly. We don't reach out. They don't understand us. Next time we tell them that Islam is the righteous religion, how could it sink in? How? I've gone through at Masjid. I think it's been a year. I gave a plan, and with all this respect, I think this Masjid is one of those Masjid. I gave out how to make $1 million in 4 years. Easy. And you know how much it's going to cost you? $1 a week, $1. And within 4 years, you can produce $1 million at least. Now you say, how could we raise $1 million in 4 years with only $1? I gave out the plan. I gave out a plan how to. If I have to come back and repeat, I'll do it. But I gave out a plan. If you recall, I don't know, I think this masjid was among those masjid. How would $1 we can actually support some of the best students and get them into different departments. Get one in the scientific field, another in business, another in technology. And let them come up with an app that can solve a solution and sell it for only $20. And sell it for what? For only 50,000 people. That's $1 million. Easy. Easy. The richest man on the surface of the earth. Jeff, right? Let me add Mr. He deserves it. Mr. Jeff. Who knows? Maybe by hearing this, he's going to give me a check. He doesn't sell anything. You know that? He doesn't manufacture anything. It used to be Bill Gates. Bill Gates being in the field of computer, that's reasonable. But this man doesn't sell anything. He doesn't produce anything. He doesn't manufacture anything. How did he do it? Technology. He only connects buyers and sellers. That's it. I'm on Amazon. I sell my supplement on Amazon. For every supplement that I sell, he takes 30%. And imagine all these thousands and thousands and thousands of people buying, and thousands of people on Amazon. So he just sits there. You know, I have to go. Some of you who are close to me, I travel a lot. I traveled to India, met all these gurus. natural medicine, how to combine this and that to make this and this. If you combine this and that, that will solve this problem. I just look at it, come back, being in the field of prophetic medicine, I check them out. The Prophet ﷺ said this, the Prophet ﷺ said that. For instance, the Prophet ﷺ actually recommended vinegar, right or wrong. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 61, mentioned garlic, the combination. And then you spread it out with what? Honey, which is mentioned in what? In Surah Al-Nahl, Quran chapter 16. And so the combination of honey and vinegar, honey in Quran, vinegar in Sahih Muslim, that combination gives you what they call azmi. And then you take garlic in Surah Al-Baqarah and add them. So that becomes very, very powerful. You keep it there for a week. You start using it in the morning with warm water and see what happens if your doctor approves. Now, after go through all these, this man will still be in his jet, relaxing. And I will combine all these, launch on Amazon. The moment someone buys from me, he has 30%. 30% for doing nothing, just by connecting me with a person who want to buy. Now, why can't our children make their own app? Why not? You just have to know what Americans want and use the app to solve problems. I told you the last time, when I told your son that, give me an idea of how to make $1 million, he said, Dad, I got it. He said, look at Uber, the largest taxi company in the world, and they don't even own one taxi. It's all about app. I showed how using only 3 people, and just by giving them $1 each, just to show them that the community relies on you. The community is proud of you, and whatever they have, you pinch it on the wall to boost their morale. In 4 years, they will graduate. They can bring an app that costs only $20. Me buying it doesn't make it, it's just $20. And if you have 50,000 people buying it, that's $1 million. And you have 50 states. So 50,000 is just like 1,000 people in every state. That's not a big deal. That's how you make $1 million in only 3 to 4 years as a community. I was waiting for someone to say, mashallah, we started and we have, mashallah, those boys now, they are in college. Nobody came back to me. So when are we going to start? When are we going to start? And so, wallahi, we have problem, big problem. It's not about us. It's about our children. When was the last time we stepped into any masjid and saw American-born youth, the youth, giving khutbah? If you did, how many times? And so if we die off today, then who's going to continue this legacy? And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks you, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, what is your result? What is your reply? What is my reply? And as a community, what is your role? You've been in the community for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. What is your role in the community? If you don't have a role, which means then there's no community. If you have, what is your role? As an individual, what's your role? Everything must be strategically planned. And wallahi, with that you see the results. Let us stop blaming, oh, this group of people, they did this to us, these people did this to us, we are suffering because of these people. If you start blaming others, you feel good, but it won't solve the problem. You put yourself in the center of the problem and start to think how to solve the problem. Gone are the days that you kept on, blaming them, they did this, and these people did that. What are we doing as a community? What are we doing as Muslims? And when we die off, what are we leaving behind for our children? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our first. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَّمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله القائل الحمد لله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وله الحمد في الآخرة وهو الحكيم الخبير وصلى الله وسلم على رسول الله وعلى آله الأطهار وصحبه الأبرار. In closing, my respected elders, brothers and sisters, there is nothing that you can achieve alone. Nothing. The Prophet ﷺ, the best of the best, was surrounded by what? The Sahaba. And because of the close needed plan that they're doing, they succeeded. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ba'da uzu billahi min shaitan rajim. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you have been stern and cranky, they will have all dispersed. But because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was soft-hearted, he put them together, and that togetherness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Even though he was receiving direct revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, consult them in their affairs. So it's not one-man show. We have to come together as a community. Please, let us save our children. We don't want to see another atheist among us. Even the place that you call back home, even those worshiping idols, they will tell you that we can do this in the name of the bigger God. Even those worshiping idols believe in God. If it gets to a point where our own children are now start questioning about the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's very scary. Wallah, we have to act as a community, and we have to act now. If you don't have any long-term plan, let us start it now. Let us have a meeting. If you can have time for work, we should have time for our children. Let's have a meeting. What are we going to do the next 20 years? From that 20 years, what are we going to do to start today? It's not too late. If not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to hold us responsible. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. Ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease our first. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in our families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in our children. May they be far better than us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our iman. And may we support masjids so that we, at least that's for now, that's what we have, so that they teach our children what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want them to know. And so for that, inshallah, after salat, please donate generously to help the masjid. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قاف والقرآن المجيد بل عجبوا أن جاءهم منذر منهم فقال الكافرون هذا شيء عجيب أإذا متنا كنا ترابا ذلك رجع بعيد قد علمنا ما تنقص الأرض منهم وعندنا كتاب حفيظ بل كذبوا بالحق لما جاءهم فهم في أمر مريج أفلم ينظروا إلى السماء فوقهم كيف بنيناها وزيناها وما لها من فروج. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل إني نهيت أن أعبد الذين تدعون من دون الله لما جاءني البينات من ربي وأمرت أن أسلم لرب العالمين. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. في سبيل الله وجزاكم الله خيرا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. To thank Imam. May Allah forgive us and forgive our sins and state of prayer, inshallah. After that, Fisabilillah. All we like to say, Fisabilillah, brothers and sisters, don't forget your masjid, inshallah. The masjid needs your support. Help your masjid, inshallah. And also, you have a bread. You can take bread home, it's what you want to the kids. Also, if you want to stay, we have your food. Inshallah, we can enjoy this together, inshallah. Fisabilillah, brothers and sisters. Fisabilillah.